about reducing
Oh, no, sir.
violence.
You're looking at somebody who's
You're also
reading you
speaking
your
out
own
against
words, and I'd like to hear an
violence
answer.
programs.
Here's the answer. The answer is you don't have any solutions. You want to invest in gobbledygook and take away money from police officers who actually keep our communities safe, and when you're called on the record, you deny it. It's all there in black and white, and your record is there in black and white, and it's a disgrace.
We reduced homicides by 31%, and as someone who's been shot and nearly killed, I take offense that you would think that
I
the
take
last
offense
13
that you
years
won't answer my
we're not
questions,
focused on
that you
reducing
deny your
violence.
own words, and that you are leading this committee astray. And frankly, sir, your policies are absurd. They're absurd.
Senator Josh Hawley ruthlessly confronts former Biden White House official Gregory Jackson over a damning report advocating to defund police departments. What starts as routine testimony quickly erupts into one of the most heated exchanges on Capitol Hill this year. Jackson, who served as Deputy Director for Gun Violence Prevention in the Biden administration and Executive Director of the Community Justice Action Fund, finds himself trapped by his own organization's published policy recommendations. Watch as Hawley methodically dismantles Jackson's testimony with direct quotes from the policymaker's playbook that explicitly calls for defunding police while redirecting funds to alternative programs. The confrontation reaches its peak when Hawley asks about two-spirit initiatives recommended in the report, a term Jackson himself cannot explain. This video breaks down every moment of this intense exchange, from the establishment of Jackson's ties to George Soros-funded organizations, through the defund police debate to the explosive conclusion where both men's frustrations boil over. Let's dive into the main video.
Thanks to all the witnesses for being here. Ms. Cook, I want to say thank you especially to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for telling your story. And I'm sorry for what you and your family have had to endure. And it's powerful to have you here today. Thank you very much. I want to talk about some of these policies that have gotten to where we are today. Mr. Jackson, if I could just start with you. You were Deputy Director in the Biden White House for gun violence and a special assistant to the president. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You're also affiliated with the Community Justice Action Fund. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm also a survivor of gun violence.
You were their executive director. When was that, the Community Justice Action Fund?
2021 to 2023.
And you're affiliated with them now?
Yes, as executive advisor.
Okay. The Community Justice Action Fund is, do you disclose your donors?
Yes.
All of the donors are public?
Yes.
You're funded by the Tides Advocacy Group, among others?
They're a fiscal sponsor.
This is, right.
They
that would
handle
be a
our
donor.
HR.
Yeah. This is a George Soros funded group?
No.
He's one of the donors?
No.
He's a donor to the Tides Advocacy Group.
Yeah, that's our fiscal sponsor. So they handle our HR, our back office, our operations.
Great. Okay. Great. So in other words, I mean, that's
we're one of 300 organizations.
right that they run. You are a
Yes, but
subset
we
of
pay
them.
pay them to be a fiscal
Well,
sponsor.
you are a subset of that organization, which he helps to fund, right? Okay. All right. Just wanted to get a level set here. So let's just, I want to ask you about some of the policies that you've advocated because they're exactly what we see implemented in these blue cities, like defunding
Yes.
the police.
No.
Oh, indeed.
That's not- we advocate for
Wait,
investing.
I haven't asked a question yet. We'll get to. I've got a lot of questions. Believe me, and I'll give you time. So let's talk about this report that you issued when you were executive director, a policymaker's playbook. And I'll ask you to enter it into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Great.
Without objection.
Thank you. In this report, you advocate, and I quote now, defunding the police because the long-term goal is fundamentally to reimagine how the state serves its citizens in the project of public safety. You go on to say police departments traumatize residents through a destructive cycle of racist over-policing, and the answer is not to add any more money to police budgets. Talk to me about, I mean, why is it that denying policing to the most vulnerable communities is a solution? I know that's what the blue cities are doing, but why is that a good idea?
Well, look, I in no way stand with defunding law enforcement. I mean,
That's what your report says.
Sheriff Mike Sheridan, who taught me how to drive when I was 16 years old.
Wait. Your report, when
And,
you were executive director, said you wanted to
as
defund the
as
police. Do
deputy
you
director of the
renounce
White
this
House-
report?
as
Mr.
deputy director
Jackson,
of the
do
White
you,
House
do you
office-
renounce the report that you authored as executive director? Here it is.
You're the second senator to bring up an op-ed or
This isn't an
documents from
op-ed. This
before
is
my
your
tenure.
report, a policymaker's playbook to reduce gun violence without policing communities.
Okay.
Community Justice Action Fund, copyright 2023, when you were executive director. Now you say you don't know anything about it. Now you say that you You haven't heard of it. Just like the Democrats who all of a sudden say, oh, we're all for the police. They've been advocating defunding them for years.
Okay, well, you can look at documents or you can look at
My
results.
question is, do you renounce this report now? You say you no longer agree with this.
And my answer is that I led the efforts to invest $42 billion in law enforcement.
You've advocated defunding the police as executive director of an organization that you still lead and are affiliated with.
Never see me advocate for that directly. What you see me advocate for
what is this,
a
then?
comprehensive approach to reducing violence.
Right. The comprehensive approach is defunding the police, which is what this says.
The entire time.
This is so typical of what the Democrats do now. After your policies have transparently failed and led to the deaths of millions of Americans, now you say you've never heard of defunding the police. Your own report recommends it on page after page after page. Let me ask about something else you say. Here's what you say we ought to invest in. Instead of funding the police, here's what we ought to invest in. We need to invest in programs that acknowledge the need for safe space initiatives led by lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, trans, and gender nonconforming people. What's two-spirit?
Well, look, I don't know exactly. You guys are pulling some interesting quotes.
This
here.
is from your report.
If you look at the report, the focus is on investing in violence intervention, outreach workers.
What is you say that you shouldn't invest in the police, but we ought to invest in two-spirit community programs that acknowledge two-spirit individuals.
We are not going to discriminate
what is that?
We're not going to discriminate against any nonprofit that
what
wants
is
to
a
help us prevent violence in our community.
What is two-spirit? You say don't fund the police, but do fund programs that create safe spaces for two-spirit people. What is? I just want to know. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
Well, I honestly, I'm not completely aware of the language or
you
the
wrote
spirit
the
of how that was
report.
written. But what I'm telling you is that what
is a two-spirit individual? I mean, really, this is your policymaker's playbook. You are the witness called by the Democrats on this committee, so I assume you reflect their views. Well, you don't want to fund the police. You want to fund safe spaces for two-spirit individuals. What is a two-spirit person?
I feel like I'm looking at a two-faced individual because you talk about reducing
violence. Oh, no, sir.
Violence.
You're looking at somebody who's reading you your own words, and I'd like to hear an answer.
Programs.
Here's the answer. The answer is you don't have any solutions. You want to invest in gobbledygook and take away money from police officers who actually keep our communities safe, and when you're called on the record, you deny it. It's all there in black and white, and your record is there in black and white, and it's a disgrace.
We reduced homicides by 31%, and as someone who's been shot and nearly killed, I take offense that you would think that the last 13 years
you won't answer my
we're not focused on
that
reducing
you deny
violence.
your own words, and that you are leading this committee astray. And frankly, sir, your policies are absurd. They're absurd.
What we witnessed wasn't just another Senate hearing, it was a masterclass in political accountability that should be required viewing for every American concerned about crime in their communities. Senator Josh Hawley delivered a textbook example of how elected officials should hold bureaucrats and activists accountable for policies that have devastated American cities. Armed with meticulous research, direct documentation, and unwavering persistence, Hawley exposed the fundamental dishonesty at the heart of progressive criminal justice reform. Gregory Jackson's performance was nothing short of embarrassing for the Biden administration and the Democratic Party. Here was a man who served in the White House, who led an advocacy organization publishing explicit calls to defund police, yet when confronted with his own words, he couldn't even acknowledge what was printed in black and white. The constant deflection, the appeals to personal experience, the invocation of a childhood sheriff, these were transparent attempts to avoid answering simple, direct questions about policies he championed. Hawley didn't let him get away with it. The two-spirit moment was particularly revealing. Jackson's report recommended defunding police while redirecting resources to programs he couldn't even explain. This perfectly encapsulates the problem with so much progressive policymaking. It prioritizes ideological buzzwords and intersectional frameworks over practical solutions that keep people safe. When you're advocating to strip resources from law enforcement, the absolute minimum requirement should be that you can articulate what you want to fund instead. Jackson failed that basic test spectacularly. His claim that he led efforts to invest $42 billion in law enforcement while simultaneously serving as executive director of an organization publishing reports explicitly calling for defunding police isn't nuance, it's hypocrisy. The senator's frustration was justified and righteous. For years, Americans have watched as progressive prosecutors, city councils, and advocacy groups pushed defund policies, then acted shocked when crime skyrocketed. They implemented bail reform that put dangerous criminals back on the streets. They hamstrung police departments with impossible mandates. They demonized law enforcement officers who risked their lives to protect communities. And when the inevitable consequences arrived, when murder rates spiked and victims piled up, these same advocates suddenly claimed they never supported defunding police at all. Hawley refused to let Jackson participate in that revisionist history. The receipts were all there. The Community Justice Action Fund report, published in 2023 under Jackson's leadership, containing page after page of explicit anti-police advocacy. No amount of personal storytelling or statistical cherry-picking could erase those words. What makes Hawley's performance even more commendable is that he did this while maintaining respect for the actual victims of violence. He began by thanking Ms. Cook for her testimony and acknowledging her family's suffering. He never dismissed Jackson's own experience as a gun violence survivor, but he rightfully refused to let personal narratives substitute for policy accountability.